All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for the Worth Unlimited Sales Track presentation for March 5th. We're going to be going over closing tools again. Tonight will be the slideshow presentation. For March, we are doing the same promo we did in February. First sale is a $150 bonus, second sale is a $250 bonus, third sale is a $350 bonus. That is a maximum of 5 sales per month. They must be at least $2,250 in paid volume, and this is an accumulative promo. So if you do make a third sale in the month, the first, second, and third sales are all $350 bonuses. So reviewing sales track, this is your introduction. This is where you have your first blush with the client, and we call this the first 6 lessons of sales track. So it would be starting point, your 15-second commercial, your use of qualifiers and tie-downs, your personal or borrowed story. If you don't have a personal or borrowed story, run some analysis. Go back to your analysis log of past clients you've run. Get with your upline and find out if they have any relevant stories. Run your own analysis and use your own analysis as your personal or borrowed story. Speak to past clients. These are all great ways of developing that personal story. Number 5 is your litmus test. This is your 1 to 5 scale of how interested is your client. And then number 6 is setting the appointment in stone. And this is either referring to a corporate field closer for that appointment or set the appointment yourself so you can run the analysis for the client on your own. We have a process that's in place, and like with any process, there's certain steps that you need to observe along the way. Now, we talked about sales track in the context that you don't have to use each 6 steps in the order that they are presented there, that they were just presented on the screen. You don't even have to use our language. We're just trying to give you language that we have found that is relevant to a bulk of clients. You want your information that you're giving to the client to be relevant. I would suggest in that first section, which is your introduction, those first 6 steps, that you let the client do a lot of talking. You lead them, ask them open-ended questions, and ask them to fill in the blanks to tell you more. The more you can get the client talking, the more they're going to give you the information that you need in order to move them forward in the process and set yourself up in a situation for a good, strong closing. One thing that we do know is that the close is not just at the end of your presentation. The closing begins when you first start talking to the client. Those first words out of your mouth are what are going to make the difference for the client and for how the rest of this presentation proceeds throughout the entire process. The next step is your body or information gathering, your building of rapport. This is where you're getting their numbers, you're finding out more about them. And in fact, I want you all to know that our job truly begins when you get the numbers from the client. That's when the job begins. Everything up to that point is just conjecture and conversation and idea and concept. But at the end of the day, when you get their numbers and you're able to run an analysis, you now have something tangible to show the client. And that would be your results or summary, which is what we're going to discuss today. We went over the PDF last week. We went over how to build an analysis last week. And so what we're going to talk about is the slideshow this week. We're going to do a little bit of review, and then we're going to move on from there. And then finally, your fourth part is closing the deal. Don't be led astray. The closing of the deal starts from your first handshake with that client, that first impression. So there's an old saying, ABC, always be closing. What is the purpose of your conversation? Where are you trying to get to? What is it that you are trying to accomplish? The analysis is such an integral part of our closing that it is very important that in doing this analysis and then reviewing it with the client, you take your time, you review each section so they understand, and clarify the information. This would be the rules of engagement. If they have any questions about what they're seeing on the screen, Make sure you are clarifying this information for the client, because one of the quickest ways to turn a client from red hot and, yeah, I need this and I want it and I see it, to, well, I got to think about it, is leave a piece of the logic stream out. Leave it to a place where the client can't fully wrap their mind around what it is that you're trying to get across. Make sure you answer their questions and you move them forward in the process. So, sales track training tools, we're going to review the PDF. Just a couple quick things to say. This is what the PDF looks like. This is what we went over 2 weeks ago, and then this is what we built in the analysis. The analysis does not ask for your prospects' monthly non-debt living expenses, groceries, fools, all that. It asks for their income, debt payments, and how much their average monthly discretionary income is, and the reverse engineers their average monthly expense totals. They'll be able to itemize their expenses in the program once they have purchased. That's why we ask the question at the end of a month, after you've spent all of your money, after you have paid all of your bills, after you've lived the way you want to live, how much money would you say you have left over? We call that discretionary income. I would not pry on people, try to find it. We do know from running the analysis last week that there is a way to find discretionary income, that many times people don't believe they have it, when in all actuality they have discretionary income to operate with. Do they have enough to live on is something you want to consider. The monthly income, their monthly debt payments, their monthly non-debt living expenses will give average monthly discretionary income. So if you're going with the discretionary income number, what you want to do is you want to look at their total expenses and their non-debt living expenses and see if that can support them. And this is that section over here with the discretionary income. It shows base monthly income. It shows their monthly debt payments. That would be all of their fixed debt, their loans and things of that nature. And then their other monthly expenses, which would be their living expenses, their variable expenses. That would be their gas or groceries and everything like this. To come up with a number, this client put in $500 as discretionary income, and it auto-fills the 29905 when you're in the analysis. Now, if you, on the section in analysis, when you're putting down the debts, if you say extra money to principal, it will load that money directly to the discretionary income. So that's what you want to focus on, is these other monthly expenses. Don't ask your prospect how much they have left over in checking at the end of every month. If they always keep a $1,000 cushion in checking but spend all of their income each month, it will sound like they have $1,000 of income left over at the end of each month. Use this definition instead. Discretionary income, the average amount of a prospect's monthly income left over after paying all of their debt payments and expenses, including entertainment. We say to people that we can show you how to get out of debt in 1/3 to 1/2 the time without changing your current standard of living. This is how we do it. Don't go in and say, well, if you scrimped and saved here, if you pulled the money you usually have in savings and put it here, if you didn't live the way you live. We want to give them an analysis based on the way they are currently living their lives, so it's a true representation when we show them those numbers, that they need not alter anything but to incorporate this program. Make sure your prospect understands and uses this definition when reporting their discretionary income. Do not inflate a prospect's income based on future possibilities. Use their current, honest, discretionary income or less. We would rather give a worst-case scenario than a best-case scenario all day long. A prospect is not automatically disqualified from the Worth account if they have zero discretionary income right now. For example, if they have a mortgage, a car loan, and 3 credit cards, discretionary income will be freed up as they pay off some of their smaller debts. This just suits to reason. The program is going to concentrate on the most effective debt to pay off first. Once that debt is paid off, the idea is they would utilize the money they were paying on that debt. That would now be incorporated into the program, and that money, along with whatever discretionary income they have, would now be designated to the next plausible debt. Most people have more discretionary income than they think they have, but it's so difficult to calculate accurately that most people just give a conservative estimate. So if you want to take time with this, if you're lucky enough to have a client that you show up to and they have all of their variable expenses already itemized, then you can go in with their fixed debt, their variable expenses, and it will give a very accurate discretionary income. I'm not by any means saying shy away from discretionary income, using that terminology, just define it well for the client so they're not pulling money into that equation that they don't truly have. Red flags: if the amount of your prospect's non-debt living expenses, other monthly expenses on the analysis report is unrealistically low, take the time to discuss their income, their monthly debt payments, and average discretionary, which together determine the expected amount of living expenses on the analysis. If their monthly expenses are negative, they obviously cannot live on that. A good rule of thumb is at least $750 to $1,500 for an individual, $1,500 to $2,500 for a couple, $2,000 to $4,000 for a family. This is a recorded presentation, so you can go back over this information. I'm just giving you some highlights. So how do you correct this? What's the best way to correct it is, if doing that doesn't create enough for them to live on, then they have not disclosed all of their financial situation, or they are upside down with their debt-to-income ratio. The best way to change an unrealistic monthly living expenses is lower the discretionary income to bring up the monthly living expenses using that rule of thumb that I gave you. Otherwise, they are upside down, or they have not disclosed all of their income, or they're inflating their expenses. So be very careful when you're going through this section. Okay, so analysis closing tools, the analysis slideshow. This is the automated presentation of a prospect's results after you have already done the analysis. So I'm going to pause the screen here for just a second. I'm going to go ahead and drop this, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up my agent portal. Okay, this will take just a second for it to flash in there. Alrighty, so let's go back to our prospects. And we were working off of Jonathan Jones. So as I mentioned, next week, what I'm going to do is send this information over to Darlene, and she is going to go ahead and she is going to, everybody see my screen now fine? Everybody got it? Yep, okay. All right, awesome. So next week, what we're going to do is I'm going to send Darlene this information, and she's going to build this client exactly. Mine being that I am an administrator of the company, my ability to show discounts and run cash register and all of that type of stuff is impeded. It will all show a sample, and it'll show other fields that you all do not have access to. So tonight, what we're actually going to do is we're just going to go over the slideshow, and then next week we're going to show how we go from the slideshow into the shopping cart and how we apply discounts. So we're going to go into the analysis, and we're going to go into the master, and we're going to open this little guy up if it decides it wants to open up for me. It's taking a couple minutes longer than it normally would. Not really sure why that is happening. Let me go back out. That's not going to let me go back out. So just hang tight with me here for just a second. If you all have any questions while this is processing. That's what I'm trying to do, is go back out, but it's not letting me do it. So I just go here, go back to prospect, go back to John Jones, and let's go back to his analysis. Okay, we're going to try this one more time. Let's send the videos. Let's see if it'll do that. All right, so all that's good. Let's go to edit. Let's save. We're good there. Let's go to the analysis and see if it'll pull the analysis for us. It looks like it's going to go this time because it didn't have the sad, unhappy face. People, I do have to apologize to you for this evening. Just been having a couple technical difficulties. They're all on my end. And so I had a couple questions that came in. All right, here we go. And there you go. Now we can see the screen. All right. Somebody asked, how will this program impact a client's credit history? You know, I can't make a definite claim, but I know clients that have utilized this program have seen improvement with their credit history. I can't give you any marked number because it's per client. If a client gets in, they use the program, they begin to pay off debt, it's going to show better credit utilization, lower balances on their credit, which in time is going to improve their credit score. So this was a client that we had made. You can click here for additional details, and this will show you the debts that we had loaded in here, showing that one of these loans will need to recast in a short period of time, okay? You can go here for view report. You could go here to set up a web conference for the client, or you can go right here for a live presentation. If you're doing it via webinar, I would do a web conference, but I'm already on a webinar, so I'm going to do it just with live presentation. So welcome, Jonathan. Please wait while we customize your analysis results. We're going to save you a lot of money. Are you ready to go, Jonathan? I would physically read the screens to the client. Don't just lead it up to the client to read each one of these screens. I'd be interactive. Remember, if we're sitting with them, we want to be sitting side by side. If we're doing a web conference, we can't be sitting side by side, but I would read the information as we go. So we click on Let's Go, and it says, let's look at your current situation. Your mortgage debt is $200,000. Your other loan debt totals $20,000. Your revolving credit debt is $3,500. Total of all debts is $223,500. This is what you owe the bank today, but you'll be paying a lot more than this if you stick with your bank's program. On top of your current debt balance of $223,500, your bank's plan will have you spend an additional $241,457 in interest alone. So we really want to center on this, and we want them to see these numbers. That's 108.3% more than you owe, or 4 years worth of your entire income gone to interest alone. This is a very powerful screen. Even when these numbers come out equal, that they're paying back as much interest as they borrowed in principal, even if it came back at 89%, what this is really showing them is, yeah, your loan may be set at 4 or 5 or 6%, but the way a loan is amortized, you're going to pay a lot more money back than what you have on schedule and on plan. On average, over the life of your loan, your bank's plan will cost you an additional $668.85 per month. In fact, for every $1 of mortgage debt you pay off this month, you will have to spend $6.02. So that means every dollar total is $7.02. That means just paying off $1 principal. Now, these points are something you have to bring up to the client so they understand the gravity of their current situation. Many people just think getting a mortgage is getting a mortgage. Many people don't realize the ramifications that are involved with getting a mortgage and how much money you are truly going to spend to stay in that house. If there was, just by seeing that, it would almost beg the question of the client, if there was a way to do this and save you a lion's share of that interest you're going to pay, that would be something you'd want to know more about, and that would be something you would absolutely want to incorporate in your financial plan, correct? So now it comes to their savings. With us, you could save up to $119,935.94. That's the same savings as having a 3.13 rate across all of your debts. You would have paid $464,957. We reduced that to $345,021. That equates to a savings you about $634.58 per month, average over 15.8 years. That's a reduction of 49.67% over what you are currently scheduled to pay. Everybody is into saving money. Everybody is always looking for a better way to get things done. Can you see how these screens slowly build on one another to bring us up to this section right here? But it's not just money you could save. You could also save time. 14.3 years of it. This is where you get the client to think and dream a little bit. What could you do with 14.3 years of mortgage and other debt payments? We already know what those numbers look like. I want you to think for a moment, if that debt was no longer on the table, how would that improve your current standard of living? You could be completely debt-free and building wealth by November 2033. That's less than 15.8 years versus the 30 years that you had originally coming into this equation. So with each one of these sections, when you go over it with the client, take the time to help them understand. If we were to go back to the screen that's as effective as you paying 3.23% across the board on all your debts, what you're really telling them is, look, if you have an average of 6% and you can pay this off in a third of the time, that would be averagely paying 2% interest back. If you can pay it off in a third of the time, that's 33% of your normal interest rate that you would be paying back. In this case, we're not quite reducing it to a third of the time. So do think about these screenshots. I would review these before you sit down with the client and have some comments and some questions on each one of these slides. Now, we also know that the program has the ability to build wealth. Using the Worth account, you will have your debts paid off in just 15 years. That reduces your current debt payoff time to 14.3. If you then put that money into an account earning just 1% from the date that you paid off, so if you took on the date you paid off all of your debts and starting right there took the money that you were using to service your debts and put it in a savings account earning only 1%. Now, most savings accounts aren't earning 1%, but a lot of people have their investments or IRA, whatever that looks like. Some people are playing the stock markets, penny stocks, have other investments. What it's saying here is if you took the money that you were using to service debt and just took that money and dropped it into a 1% return account, you could have $337,691 on top of paying off all of your debt in the same amount of time without the program it would have taken you just to pay off your debt. So you're hitting a couple triggers here. When you're doing this analysis, what you really want to do is you want to make sure that they understand the numbers they've put down are theirs and they're accurate. You want to review that with them to make sure that they are accurate, and you're taking them back to review kind of the pain of their current situation. Then taking them through the analysis PDF allows you to build the rapport and build the report. Coming back on your second appointment, I would have a PDF in hand or have the PDF available so they can review it just to verify everything is accurate. Then I would go into the slideshow, and then our very next slide is, are you ready to get started? Get an instant quote. And I'm just going to show you this. This is without discounts or anything. You're confirming the analysis here. That's why I'm going to have Darlene build another analysis for us and take us through cash register. That would be down here, proceed through cart. You're going to confirm the analysis, and on this client with no discounts whatsoever, based on your information, your program costs $3,310, which represents a $185 discount of all savings. It gives you the price, pays for itself in about 5 months. Cost of procrastination is $634.58 per month. So your total savings are $119,000. That compared to a price tag of $3,310 is nothing. The program will pay for itself in less than about 5 months. And if you hold off and you procrastinate, just know that it's like adding $634.58 a month to where you could be today. So get started today would be a matter of, if you were doing it as web, releasing controls to the client. It would be taking them through the savings report. It would be proceeding to the cart. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause the screen one more second. I'm going to bring us back over to our PowerPoint presentation. Slideshow from current. And we're back on. All righty. So you saw the analysis slideshow, and that goes through pretty quickly. It goes through pretty easy for the client. But I was moving through that fast. I want you to spend your time on each slide with your client. Now, when we come back next week, what I'm going to do is I am going to review the analysis slideshow, what we just went through. I'm going to review that for you. And then I'm going to turn the controls over to Darlene. And Darlene is going to take you into the shopping cart. She's going to show you how to apply discount, and she's going to take you through the entire process of discount to closing the client. Now, we can't actually close the client. We can't actually close the client at this point because it'd be a real sale, and then we'd have to back it out. But I wanted you all to get a bird's eye view of not just do we have a PDF that you can review to the client, but that automated slideshow is so slick because it preloads the client's information. And I don't know how many of you are in insurance at one time or real estate or any type of outside sales, but flip books are a pretty normal way of going through your presentation. What we've basically done is taken a flip book that auto-populates and will play physical slides for the client. So with that having been said, I want to go over to Darlene real quick, see if she's on the line. And let's see if we can get Darlene here real quick. Darlene, are you there?
I am. How are you this evening, Mac?
I am doing excellent. And do you have all the information that you already need to be able to build that client? You can build John and Rebecca Jones, or do you need me to send you all that in email?
I might need you to send it because going through a webinar is a little hard to run the shopping cart. But I'll
okay.
Look for it. Let's look at it before Monday, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I'll just shoot everything over to you. I have most of the base numbers already there, and I'll shoot all that to you when you build it. Maybe we can get on after hours and just kind of go through it.
Sounds good.
Okay, did you have anything that you wanted to leave the agents with for this evening? I want to make it short. I'd like to make tonight's presentation, I'm trying to end it by about 1/4 of.
Okay. So the whole thing here, guys, is practice. You can do a sampling in your back office on prospects. So just go for it. Just practice through it. And there are certain things that you should do and you shouldn't do. For example, one thing that Mac had mentioned, which is really great, is before you see the client, whenever possible, is go through all of those slides, except the very last one that asks if they're getting ready to get started, because you want them to answer the question, are you ready to get started? And then the second screen says that you have 30-day, this is a 30-day proposal type thing. So you don't want to hit that very last screen. That we'll mention it next week as well, Mac, because then that would take the question away from the client. So you want to go through all those screens. You can practice at a time if you want, but don't go through that very last screen. So that was the most important thing. The fact is that everything is laid out for you. Some of us do things a little differently, like I show my PDFs after I've done this slideshow presentation. And you can use just like Max said, use the information that you're entering during the information entering process, the first part, to help get those yeses that they need this, that they want this. And by the time you get to the end of the slideshow, you will be having them ready to jump on the program. So I hope that helps a little, but like I said, we all have slightly different techniques in the way, the words that we say, but don't be a canned speaker. Speak the way you normally speak, but use the skills and tips and techniques that you pick up.
Yep, I would agree with you 100%. That's something we've really been trying to get across is it's not essential you use every bit of our language. What you want to concentrate on is being relevant to your client. You hear that over and over again. Some of the words I use, some people don't use at all anymore. You got to remember I'm a 57-year-old guy. Make your language yours. Make it sound relevant. Make it sound uncanned, like Darlene said. Now, Darlene, you know what I think I want to do? If you have just a second, we want to do a $200,000 mortgage, 6%, and we want to do 30-year and monthly payment at $1,199.10 if you'll write that down.
Right.
I'm going to let you build whatever client you want to build because really what we're doing is taking them to the shopping cart. Make sure they have a car loan in there.
Sure.
Make sure they have a HELOC in there.
Okay.
And make sure they have a credit card in there. And let's deal with about $5,000 of income and some money in checking and some money in savings.
Right. It'll parallel the actual presentation. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to, if you just wanted to build your own, because, you know, my frequency of time has become short of late, and I don't want to hold you up from getting your side of it done. And then we'll touch base before Monday and actually run through it once to make sure we have no glitches in that system, okay?
Sure. See, when I do my presentations, I'll do the numbers with the person, and I'll go right into the presentation right then and there. So I don't have a chance to practice and study it. So that'll be fine just to run right through it. No problem.
All right. That sounds awesome. Okay. Darlene, thank you so much, and thank you for always being such a great assistance to me and being what I call a true life fan of Worth Unlimited. Thank you for taking your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank Harry, too, because I know he's there.
He is. He's in the background with the grandkids.
He always is. But we love you, too, Harry. Thank you.
Okay. He's waiting. He has the grandkids.
Okie doke. Thank you, darling. All right. Let's drop down to Ms. Joan Hackenstad. Joan, are you there where they can hear you? Just final comments.
Absolutely, and I know we want to keep this short. I agree wholeheartedly with Darlene. Practice. If you are new to running the analyses, make sure you do gather the information in front of the client. I usually do that to make sure accuracy is there, that you're getting correct information, but then set a second appointment to show the results, especially if you are new. If you are not new, go straight into it. But if you are new, make sure you do that separately. The other side of it is, remember, to handle yourself, use your head. To handle others, use your heart. Be very conscious of the words that you choose. Be very conscientious about how you say what you say. We are dealing with very, very sensitive information, so be very conscientious of that. Last, during sales track, you asked a lot of questions. You used a lot of tie downs to gauge curiosity, to establish commitment. During the first appointment of gathering information, you did the exact same thing. They did most of the talking. You did a lot of listening. Now it's your turn to shine. Now it's your turn to take all of that information that they gave to you and present it back to them. Use those small commitments. Use those small closings to your advantage. When you go through a pain point, something that they have identified as a hot spot, make sure you slow down your speech. Make sure you stop, pause, gauge, look at them, make sure they have full understanding of what you're saying. Ask them and confirm that understanding. And then remind them of those commitments. Do you see how this might help with such and such? Or how do you think this would benefit you in regards to, and identify whatever that hot spot is? So use those tools that we've been teaching you all along in sales track with asking those questions to your benefit. Now is the time to do that.
Okay.
Next.
I thank everybody for taking the time with us this evening. I thank you for jumping on the call. We had a great call volume this evening. I think we had a very good lesson. I hope you all took some golden nuggets. Joan, always, again, as with Darlene, thank you for being an avid fan of Worth, always being a compliment to the trainings, and always being there to support and assist. Once again, final note, Joan has created a YouTube channel, and if you type in the search Worth Account Corporate Training, it'll bring up all of the training videos that we have been doing. Worth Account Corporate Training. If you need to get in touch with me, there is my information as well as Worth support. They are well trained, and they should be able to direct you with any questions that you may have about operation of the system or how to find whatever we need to find. And the very last thing that I would mention here is Darlene wanted me to let you all know that it was a fantastic live meeting in North Carolina. They had great attendance, and that was for Jackie Washington. So congratulations to them and for everybody that showed up at that meeting. And then I saw Joan's note here. There seems to be just a question here. Hey, Joan, can I bring you back on? Are you still there, Joan?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I typed in Worth Account Corporate Training Channel, and it didn't take me to where every video was. Now,
that's because it's Worth Unlimited Corporate Training Channels, not Worth Account. It's under Worth Unlimited Corporate Training Channel. And make sure you're spelling channel correctly. It's 2 N's, C-H-A-N-N-E-L.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have the clarity from Ms. Joan, the one that built the site. And so we will go with that. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Hope you have an absolutely wonderful evening. And then my last challenge that I issue every week, when you come onto this webinar, try to bring somebody with you. And the only reason we do that is to try to get the volume on the calls going upwards. It also, you never know who will be intrigued by the process or the program just by getting on the webinar. So I issue that challenge again for next week. Everybody on the call this week, try to invite one additional person next week. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Let's get out there and do it big. Let's get out there and do it right, but at the very least, let's get out there and do it right now. This is Max Saunders saying bye-bye for now.